just to give you an idea of how you use this to get the argument for one nosode over another. I can't spend too long on this, but what I'll do is I'll try and provide you with some key pointers to this. There are several parts to the repertory. So when you come to open the repertory of the bowel nosodes, do open up it open. Do have it open with the page thumbnails in place so that you can quickly orientate yourself around the document. It definitely does help to find things within the document itself. So the contents page does also have interactive links. So these are, you can go by clicking on the different parts of these, you can go directly to different parts of the repertory. And the different pages do have or should have a button on them that takes you back to either the keywords or to an index. So it gives you, there is some interactivity that allows you to move around the document, and I think that can be helpful in using it. There are several sections to the repertory. There's an introduction, there's a gateway indications, which we've talked about already briefly yesterday. There's a hierarchy of symptoms for the intestinal nosodes because you use the balance of the information in your case differently to when you're analyzing using classical homeopathic method. You then have the repertory, which is laid out according to von Bönninghausen. And the reason why I've selected von Bönninghausen rather than Kent as a method is because Kent subordinates things into much smaller rubrics, and it is just not appropriate for the bowel nosodes to have that, because you don't have some modality, for example, of headaches better for heat and worse in bed and better for lying flat and all the rest of it. You don't have information that is listed that way, and the reason for that is because the nosodes are not proven in that way, and even if they were, they wouldn't evoke symptoms that way, because the nosodes are an entanglement with a biological problem, and the case, they are not a simillimum, they are not in themselves a defined toxic agent, or they're not a single stimulus. They are systems disturbance. So it means that the Kent's layout for the nosodes is just simply inappropriate. But von Bönninghausen is a much closer or better structure for them. There's a repertory of food intolerances, and that's partly based around the fermentation profiles of the nosodes, and partly from Bach and Patterson's listing of the likes, dislikes, and intolerances for the nosodes. So it's partly clinically based, partly based around what we know about the nosodes in terms of how they deal with different kinds of substrate. There's a repertory of etiologies, and there are staging and regional affinities. There's clinical relationships running from the nosode to the materia medica and running from materia medica to nosode. There are therapeutic guidelines, which we talked about yesterday, which is basically a quick outline on how you use them. And then there's a variety of clinical resources, which include questionnaires and things that you can use that may be helpful in working out your treatment model for various different kinds of case. If I go to the gateway indications, I'm not going to spend a long time on here, because we looked at this yesterday, but I want to repeat the importance of these, because these are the things that tell you when a nosode is likely to be used in the case. So you should have a look at these, and if you are switched on to these, the etiology, the unresolving GI symptoms, the persistent and troublesome mucocutaneous and inflammatory conditions, lowered resistance to infection, inflammatory signs and symptoms localized to body orifices, persistent systemic illness, objective evidence of immunological anomalies, adult onset allergies, cycles of dependency, and failure of any of the above to respond consistently to well-indicated remedies. So I have put in 10 basic pointers, and there are some sub examples, some things that are below those. You will never find all the indications in a case for the bowel nosode. It'll be a cluster or 2 or 3 of these things. It'll be an etiology, it'll be an infection, it'll be an adult onset allergy, it'll be a systemic disturbance, it'll be something, but it'll never be all of these things. It'll just be a few of those things, maybe even 2 or 3 of them, that you notice within the first 5 or 10 minutes of speaking to the patient as they're telling you about their troubles, and you think, I have to just make sure that we don't have a clear indication for a gut dysbiosis